Welcome back to the Ignore the Template podcast, the only FPL podcast on the entire internet. No, I did not start out looking dumb and bored because I don't know how to edit or cut this together. I am just depressed about FPL because it absolutely sucks right now. If you are feeling the same way, segment 1 in this podcast is just going to be me ranting. So there will be chapter markers if you want to skip past the rant. I don't know if I'm going to be positive for the rest of it, but definitely not in the first part. Yeah, we will be ranting, but also double game week. Yay, the most boring double game week of all time. It is official. We'll talk about that and how to plan for it and whatnot. But the primary goal of today's podcast, apart from crying, is to react to Gameweek 24. I think there were some interesting bits, but mostly not, and it's mostly boring. So let's jump into it. Okay, let's start with the ugly business of, and probably the likely title of this podcast episode today, value is dead. This season, they blew up the pricing and it was exacerbated by premiums underperforming. Who could have predicted that? Says no one, because every single year this happens. There's a combination of premiums that are going to underperform. They're going to flop. And there's also going to be hidden gems that just completely blow up the pricing structure. So if everything was up a little bit, if the rising tide lifted it a little bit, we wouldn't be in the situation where everyone has the same team. Because when you can afford every single player in the game, is it really a decision to go from including every single highest points per game player and removing them and having lower points per game players? Honestly, it sucks. And if you are feeling the woe, are you feeling, I don't know if that's a phrase. If you're feeling the lull, I guess is what I was trying to say. If you're feeling the lull of FPL, feeling like it's boring, if it's just not, it doesn't bring you the excitement of the early game, I am right there with you. And it was completely exacerbated by the one premium asset that I had that I thought underlying numbers look pretty good. He tweaked his fragile little glass hamstring. Yes, I'm talking about you, Bukayo. Pointing at the webcam for anybody listening to the podcast, audio only. Yeah, Bukayo Saka goes down injured, doesn't even play. And at this point, the only performing premium, which can you even call him that? He's only like 10 million, is Bruno Fernandes. So what is even the point? And it's not, I hope this is clear that it's not just because my players in particular are performing badly. That's probably part of it. It's just that the entire structure of the game of FPL, which I love, I created a YouTube/podcast about it, designed to like investigate the stats and find hidden gems and look for value players. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if my team has Ismail Assar, who got a penalty in Gameweek 24. And who should be talked about more. It literally does not matter because everyone has. I could probably list off the top of my head, unscripted, basically 99% of teams right now. And that's what's depressing, is that everyone has 3 Arsenal players, and those are Declan Rice, Gabriel, Jurriën Timber. Everybody has Bruno Fernandes. Everyone will probably have Brian Mbeumo. Holland, Thiago, Enzo. Shall I go on? Mukiele. I was the first. Gameweek 4, baby. I had Mukiele in there, so shout out. But, and I said this was a rant, and this is uncut, or I'll try to keep it uncut, but it's just upsetting because I've been saying this for a long time. I say this at the beginning of every single year. They need to increase the pricing. And when I post this on Reddit, everybody is like, no, because then like none of the casuals will like it. The casuals will still like it. They'll still be able to afford literally everybody. But if every player went up by like 1 million, it still would basically make no impact. It would help, certainly, but it still would make no impact because the overall pricing is so bad that it's completely swung to the completely casual thing. And now it's like, you don't even need to watch the games. You don't need to look at stats. You don't need to have any intuition whatsoever. All that you need to do fairly well in FPL is just go to points per game, and you can literally afford every single player from 1 to 15 on that list. So it really takes what I find to be fun about the game, it takes that out of it for me. Not to say that I don't still love FPL and that there's still excitement to be had and all of that good stuff. But yeah, the pricing structure is so whack. They need just refer them to this podcast, please. And then I can talk to them one-on-one. I will list through how the players need to be priced. I literally put out a spreadsheet on what the player pricing should be at the end of last season for players this season. But did they listen? No, they didn't listen. And now the pricing is completely broken, and basically everyone has the same team. And at the end of the day, does it really matter if everyone has the same team? No, but a lot of the fun of it is that there are choices. I always say this, is that the most engaging part about FPL is when you have choices. With the pricing the way it is, there's really no choice to be made. So I'm wondering if I should end my rant here or if I should continue. I should probably talk about actual game week and how I did and all that. But yeah, it's just the Saka injury really just triggered me. And yeah, I'm doing this live uncut. This is for the YouTube folks. I am pulling up my phone and I'm looking at players sorted by total score. This is the question. I mean, maybe we should just do the math. So sorted by total score. Can you afford a team that includes Erling Haaland, Semenyo, Bruno Fernandes, Gabriel, Rice, Thiago, Bruno G, Chalobah, Wilson, Timber, Enzo, João Pedro, Gehi, Tarkowski, Rogers, etc. Do you think it's possible to own a team where we just list through? Yeah, let's run it. Let's see if I'm just going to add up the math. I'm not even going to take into account that all of the price rises that have happened. Yeah, let's do it. This is the first cut of the rant. I'm going to see if you can afford every single top performing player thus far through Gameweek 24. I did the math. Guess what the total cost of 15 players is, meaning you can have an entire bench full of the top performing players. The entire cost of the team, not taking into account owning them before their price rose. Literally, if you started the game in Gameweek 24, had to buy a team with 100 million, you'd be short by 8.2. So you're not even short by that much with taking into consideration the price rises. And you could easily drop one player, João Pedro, to a 4.1, 4.2 or whatever with the cheapos, drawing a blank on their name right now, to afford the team. This is so upset. Like, this sucks. We should not be asking for this. This should not be the level. This should not be the bare minimum. The most expensive team, or the best performing team in the entire game should cost like 140 million, not 108. We should not be able to afford every single player. And the reason being is that Mohamed Salah is not performing to the level. Bukayo Saka is not performing to the level. Palmer's not performing to the level. So that, yeah, I get it. They probably could not have anticipated that 3 premiums weren't going to perform, but this happens every single season, even if it's not over a big sample size or a long period of time, like it's showing to be. Like, we're literally more than halfway through the game and the pricing is completely destroyed. Even in small pieces of the game, like a 3 game week window, the game could really suck if premiums don't perform. But the fact that throughout the entire season, the pricing structure is completely null and void, that's not a good thing. That means there's something fundamentally wrong with how you price the players. Because yeah, there's probably a little bit of bad luck with the premiums not performing, but we know that there's going to be times where the premiums aren't going to perform. And on top of that, cheap players like who thought Wilson, or like Thiago, or Declan Rice, Bruno G, Semenyo, even to some extent, did a lot of people clock onto these players as being like the top performing players? Yeah, probably not, but someone is going to do that. So you rise the price on everybody so that when you find these gems, it doesn't break the entire game. It doesn't ruin the entire game when like 1 or 2 gem players gets into good form and has like a breakout season, or just like, I mean, Wilson, he's not young anymore. Like, this is his best season of all time, but nobody can predict who that is going to be, but it's going to be somebody. That happens literally every single season. So welcome to my TED Talk. But yeah, I'm a bit frustrated. I apologize if this comes out negatively on the podcast or YouTube. Like and subscribe for more negativity. I promise the podcast does get better, but I just wanted to rant. If anybody can sympathize, or if anybody's feeling the same way, maybe I'm alone in this, and maybe this is completely falling on deaf ears. It doesn't seem like people are talking about this on Reddit or any of the spaces I go to. So, yeah, maybe I am like completely in the wrong about this, and people want the game to play like this, but yeah, it kind of sucks. And I wonder who I'm going to bring in for double game week 26. I wonder if it's going to be Timber and Rice. Yeah, so we'll talk about that. Yeah, why don't we just, I promise to put on a nicer presenting face. I will smile in the next segment. Once I finish this rant, I promise I'll be back to my normal self. But yeah, I just wanted to give myself some space. I'm here alone. My wife's on a work trip, so I can get to cry by myself all that I want by myself. So yeah, let's jump into the podcast official, like the real meat and potatoes. And yeah, drop a like if you like to cry. And yeah. Welcome to the actual podcast. If you skipped the rant, I promised in the previous segment I will be positive from here on out. So I'm going to hold myself to that. However, I did not have a good game week, and that's fine. It kind of makes sense considering one of my players that I would have expected to do well came off injured, his sweet little hamstring. Bukayo Saka, as I already mentioned, one of the players I would have expected to perform or do something, who ended up like that game went wild and almost certainly would have had some returns for him. He didn't play. So as a result, it may be a result of other bad decisions. I got a 7-point red arrow. And it makes sense when you look at who my differentials were of the week, who were the threats to my rank, and it's pretty plain to see. So my differentials this week were Lacroix, because he came off the bench, Pickford, and Tarkowski. And I expected more from Everton in this one, if I'm being completely honest. I was thinking there's a pretty good chance of a clean sheet, and they just don't seem to get clean sheets in the matches you would expect. So yeah, a little disappointing, maybe a little unlucky. I didn't watch that match, if I'm being completely honest, but yeah, a bit unfortunate. I was watching the stats and I was like, they didn't score till much later, I think, in the game. Am I right? Let me check. Yeah, so it was 0-0 until the 73rd minute. Pascal Gross scores. So yeah, I saw the points go up for a very short period of time after the 60th minute, and then yeah, 73rd rolls around it, and then they concede. So yeah, a bit unfortunate. And then the threats to my rank did pretty well, and I guess a lot of these you would probably expect. So Semenyo got a goal, Raya got a clean sheet, Timber got a clean sheet, João Pedro got a goal and an assist off the bench. That one was not as expected, if I'm being completely honest, and he is probably going to start increasing in price. However, I'm not going to be using my transfers that way. I'll discuss what I plan to do probably a little bit in this podcast, but more in depth in the next podcast, which will be out before the Gameweek25 deadline. And yeah, I mean, apart from that, Rodgers blanked, so that ended up being pretty good. Rice blanked, Chalobah blanked. That one was not expected. How are they conceding against Wolves like that? But Wilson blanked. And overall, my point total was 58 points. It ended up being, I guess, a 30% rank decrease. So I went from about 50K to 69. Nice. 69K. Again, I'm like stuck in the purgatory of roughly around 50K. And yeah, I'm probably a broken record at this point, but I just need a string of good luck to get like more than one green arrow in a row and propel myself on to. It would be nice to get in the top 10K. That would be a goal of mine. I think, did I say that I think maybe my goal at the beginning of the season was top 1K, because I've never done that before. That would be awesome. And it's not too late in the point in the season. There's still doubles. There's still lots of points to be had. Although the doubles, as I'll discuss in the next segment, are not going to be as interesting, because at least for this one, it's not going to be interesting because everyone's going to have the same exact players. And that means your chances of increasing in rank are vastly diminished. So yeah, let's just run through how my team did. Ignore that. So Pickford in goal, already mentioned. Mukiele, absolute legend with 9 points. I wish I had Robin Roofs still. That was 100%. If I can pin one point in the season where I made the mistake that led to my downfall, or led to this purgatory situation, AFCON transfers. I was too excited. I was amped up. I made a split decision, and I basically sold a lot of my good players. I sold Semenyo at that point, who I had from Game Week 1. I sold Robin Roofs, who I had from Game Week 4. I sold a bunch of my like long-term players that I knew I wanted long-term, but I really wanted to capture AFCON. We've talked about that, but that was really the point of when my season basically tanked. Tarkowski, 2 points. I guess in other news with double game weeks, I was optimistically holding out for Chelsea to somehow turn around the tie, because if they would have overcame that EFL second leg, that would have actually made FPL somewhat interesting, because then the double game week would have been Everton and Chelsea would have had a double game week in 26. That would have greatly benefited me, because I've got 2 Everton players, technically 3 Everton players. Don't forget Jackie G down here, 0 points. Yeah, so technically I have 3 Everton players, really 2, but I would have probably this week, if Chelsea would have progressed to the EFL Cup final, I probably would have used my 2 transfers, one of which would have probably been to bring in Njai, who's on penalties. He's been playing very well, underlying data decent. That probably would have been my transfer, but now it's going to be Rice. And now it's going to be Timber. So yeah, it would have definitely shaken up the game if Chelsea would have gotten through, but alas, that's not how it works. Moving on to the rest of the team, Mark Gehi, 3-pointer. That's fine. Gabriel with 8, Lacroix with 2, Bruno Fernandes with 10. I guess ultimately I should have captained him. Yeah, interesting. My expectation on those matches was very flipped. I thought Manchester United were going to have a difficult time, and they did, to my credit, to some credit, because I don't deserve much. But Manchester United did struggle more against Fulham than they did against Arsenal and Man City, which is interesting. But at the end of the day, Bruno Fernandes got 2 assists and maybe defensive contributions. Is this 2 assists and 2 bonus points? Played 90 minutes, 10-pointer. Not bad. Enzo got a goal, maybe a bit fortunate, but that was a wild match. I did not expect that to be like the craziest game of the weekend. If I had a fancy editing mechanism, I would edit in João Pedro cowering against the beast Adama Traore, who is FPL legend and lore. But yeah, that was a wild match. Mbumo only 2 points. Was he one of my differentials? No, I think he's like bordering on the line of a differential for me, about 25% owned. But alas, he didn't do anything. That's a hold. I have way more to worry about than Brian Mbumo. Thiago only 2 points. Doesn't matter. Holland got an assist, maybe a bit fortunate because the goal was absolutely electric, and all Holland had to do to get the assist was just lay it off to Cherky, who did the business. Man, what a goal. Watch that one, because they replayed it a lot, and it's just classic Dragusin sliding across slow-mo. Yeah, Cherky is an outstanding player. Maybe not the best FPL asset, but so much fun to watch. And that's what made it my 58 points. Dubravka on the bench with 1, Grealish was 0, Saka was 0, Obi was 0. That's how my week went. So let's talk about the double game week a little bit more. I've probably covered quite a bit, and there's really not much to say about double game week, if I'm being completely honest. This is like one of the most boring double game weeks I think I could possibly comprehend. Well, would you look at that? Double game week 26 confirmed by the man. Let me just zoom that in for you. Ben Crellin. It's official. For anybody who doesn't know, Ben Crellin is the scheduling GOAT. So wanted to give him a shout out. His tweet here. So Arsenal will play Brentford away and Wolves away. Wolves will play Forest away and Arsenal at home. Both Arsenal and Wolves will blank in game week 31. So that's important to note coming up. And other game week 31 postponement will be decided tomorrow night, but that postponement is very unlikely to be rescheduled before game week 31 because the teams playing in that are Manchester City and Newcastle. And Newcastle, wait, no. There's something to do with the teams that Man City play, because the game cannot be rearranged, I should say, into game week 26 or earlier. So basically that is to mean to say that whoever comes out of the EFL Cup's second leg between Man City and Newcastle, but at this point it's very likely that it will be Man City. But regardless of who comes out of that double game week will be arranged post game week 31, most likely. So let's just jump on over to the handy dandy Fantasy Football Hub fixture difficulty rating thing. They are not a sponsor. I should probably look at my own one, my own fixture difficulty rating, but it's not as pretty as this. I don't have like a nice display. So the stats guys don't have it in their locker to put out something like this. This is a web design thing. which I have no knowledge of. But as you can see, according to Fantasy Football Hub, free shout out, Arsenal have the best rated fixture difficulty across the next 6. Part of that is the double. I hope that they calculate that correctly and it's like potentially double or half the fixture difficulty instead of double. But yeah, as you can see, Arsenal players are going to be very popular. I'm probably going to be bringing in Timber and Rice this week. Yeah, we could probably run through that as well at the end if anybody's interested. And like I said, I am a man of my own house, so I could stay up recording all night if I want. Eat candy. Yeah, so Arsenal Gameweek 25, Sunderland at home. That's a clean sheet banker. Double game week. Triple captaincy is on the table, I think. Going to Gabriel. If anybody is not aware of this, Gabriel is the highest points per game player in the entire league. Remember when I shouted out Gabriel in the top performers? That was based on the entire season. And he is right up there. And even considering that he's missed like a big chunk of the season with injury, it's absolutely wild. He's putting up like over 7 points per game. So with that being said, if he were to go on and get like a goal, a clean sheet, like if he got 2 clean sheets in here and some sort of attacking return, defensive contribution, bonus, we're looking at a big haul. I know both the games are away, which is not ideal, but this is a serious contender for triple captaincy. Definitely not a contender for bench boost. I will not be bringing in 3 Wolves players to sit on my bench. Yeah, definitely not a bench boost kind of thing. Definitely not a free hit kind of week because everyone will have the 3 Arsenal players that you want anyways. So really the only potential chip usage I would even consider in Game Week 26 would be the triple captain, which I'll have to personally weigh myself, but I don't hate it. So yeah, keep your eyes and ears open for that one. And yeah, apart from that, our Arsenal's fixtures are decent. I mean, apart from Tottenham and Chelsea, they've got Sunderland, Brighton, Everton. So it's looking pretty green for Arsenal. And then Bournemouth, they still have great fixtures. Crystal Palace, they have great fixtures, but are we buying Crystal Palace players right now? I will probably be selling Lacroix to Timber this week, just because I'm very happy with my defenders at the moment. So it really is just kind of closing my eyes and spinning around in a circle and choosing one whose name is not Gabriel. But yeah, I will not be bringing in Crystal Palace players this week. I would like Ismail Assar long term, especially Game Week 26 on, considering they play Burnley at home and Wolves at home, and he's potentially on penalties. So Crystal Palace, an interesting team. Liverpool, I will not be bringing in any other players, as I said, despite the fact that Florian Wirtz and Ekatekers is just put out an amazing performance against Newcastle. It still will not be on my bingo score sheet until maybe Game Week 28. Maybe I'll consider that, Game Week 27. But leading up to Game Week 26, it's all about bringing in the Arsenal players, because I have this Bukayo Saka shaped mess on my team, and yeah, let's cut to the next segment, because yeah, I think double game week is very straightforward. I don't really have much more to say. I think it's deeply obvious that everyone should and probably will have Gabriel, Jurriën Timber, Declan Rice. If you want to swap one of those out for David Raya, I think that's also valid, also viable. Probably don't want Saka considering he is injured, and I think they were saying it's not as bad as they feared and he'll be back for the North London derby, but we're bringing players in for the double game week. We don't care about your NLD, okay? Yeah, there's just not. I wish there were more viable Arsenal candidates, but it's so obviously Gabriel, Timber, and Declan Rice that it hurts my head. And talking about the Wolves players, are they even worth a mention? People may have Mane on their bench, but are you going to play him over any of your players? I probably wouldn't, but famous last words. So it's really just those three players that people will consider bringing in, and then that's the double game week. Hopefully we get news about, well, we'll obviously tomorrow we'll know about the EFL Cup second leg, but we won't know about when that double and blank will be, or well, we know when the blank will be, but we don't know when the double will be until later. So for me, I'm just focusing on Gameweek 26 and 25. But that's all I got to say on it. Okay, here we are looking at my team. I just thought I'd do a little bit of spitballing since today's episode is just a little bit more loosey-goosey, a little bit more with it. I just want to look at my team and how we may look leading up to double game week 26, because as I said, it's it's certain that I will have Timber and Rice in my team, but there is somewhat of a question of when to bring them in, because how my team is set up, as we can see right here, well, Saka will not be playing, so that's a red flag. So he is an obvious sell. I think the obvious buy this week for me is Rice. I'm kind of curious to see what FPL.team's model, what they decide is like the most expected points if I were to sell Saka. And it's Salah, Amad Diallo. These are all players I don't already have. Obviously, Bruno and Mbeumo are above them. Amad Diallo, which I cannot purchase because I have Obi. Can't buy Cunha. I can buy Gibbs White. Who do they play, actually? They play Leeds away. Not on my bingo card. So it will be Declan Rice. That is a 100% certainty transfer. We can bet on that right now. Is Saka would be sold to Rice. And then I still have one more free transfer. The question would be, because I still have this Jack Grealish injury just rotting on my bench, which, first of all, just dipping back into the rant really quick, I didn't think that a red flagged player that was injured could drop in price, but I swear he just dropped in price like a couple days ago, and we've known that he's like basically out for the entire season. So I wasn't counting on that. Not that value even matters, because please refer to the first segment of this episode. But yeah, kind of lame. So the question is, do I take care of Grealish? And then that would mean I don't have to play Mark Gehi away at Liverpool. I don't have to play him. Or, as we know, my players love getting injured in warm-ups, so he probably will play. But assuming everyone is relatively fit, I think... No! FPL.team. I want to slag you off, but I will not discredit you for my bad clicks. So this is, I guess, basically the team I would go with, and then make the decision from there on the transfer. Do I want to play Mark Gehi, or do I want to transfer out Jack Grealish to Ismail Assar, who is maybe a week early? Can we see his fixtures? But getting him a week early, not the worst thing in the world. They play Brighton away. I don't think that's a bad fixture. Burnley at home, Wolves at home. Really good. Manchester United away, that might be tricky. Spurs away, that might be tricky, but then Leeds at home, not bad. So that's a consideration. So I could sell Grealish to get Sar, or I could just go for Timber early and sell like Lacroix. But then that would mean I would have to play one of Mukiele against Arsenal away, or Mark Gehi against Liverpool away. I could take the hit, but I don't think that's worth it either. So, or is it? Like, how likely do we think Lacroix will get some sort of defensive contribution or attacking return or defensive return when Sunderland at home is probably that's a clean sheet, right? Sunderland have been great, and they were able to put 3 away against Burnley, but it was Burnley, and they were playing at Stadium of Light. I don't think it's worth a 4-point hit. I don't think I'm taking a hit that week. So this is probably, like, we're spitballing, this is probably what the team is going to look like in a couple of days when I jump on the podcast again before the Gameweek 25 deadline. But let's jump ahead to Gameweek 26. That double is not loaded on there, but then at that point, ooh, do I want to sell? Maybe at that point I sell Tarkovsky. This is completely changing my mind. But then that's what the team would look like. I still have 2 million in the bank. So again, not hurting for money whatsoever, despite, like, I've lost quite a bit of team value. Interesting. But yeah, I like Tarkovsky against Fulham away. It's not going to be a good attacking fixture. I definitely wouldn't want to have Njai next, or yeah, for Game Week 25. But yeah, so maybe I keep Lacroix just because just a pure fixture play. They've got Burnley at home. Surely they cannot be that bad. Although maybe they are. But then this is what my Game Week 26 team would look like. So that would be Game Week 26, double game week. I'd have Pickford against Bournemouth. Or I could go Dubravka against Crystal Palace away. Who knows? Lacroix against Burnley at home. Gabriel in the double game week against Brentford and Wolves. Timber, same thing. Rice, same thing. Ismail Assar against Burnley at home. And Mbumo against West Ham away. Bruno Fernandes also against West Ham away. Enzo against Leeds at home. Erling Haaland against Fulham at home. Thiago against Arsenal at home. So yeah, and then if I wanted to optimize, I could probably throw that in there. Gehi playing Fulham at home for the clean sheet instead of Thiago. I don't hate that Game Week 26 team. And then I just have to make it until I wild card next, which will probably be around Game Week 31 when a lot of our players will be blanking. Probably Arsenal and Man City, because they'll be playing in the EFL Cup final. And I'm happy to sell Arsenal players despite the fact they've done so stinking well, but it would definitely change up the game a little bit. I think that's what I'm thinking. Let me know what you think in the comments and or on Discord. Discord link to join is in the description. Let's take a look at how my free hit team did against the official FPL scout team. So if you remember from the last podcast, this was the team that I put up against the official FPL scout team. This was my free hit team / scout team in the scout team competition, where if my team that I put up against the official FPL scout team loses, my free hit team, that is, they lose, then I pay out $10 to the game week leader of the mini league. Unfortunately / fortunately for me, I won this week, which is kind of surprising because I have been sucking. But this one was, I felt like, I'm surprised that nothing surprised me about the official scout team, because they are just like, I feel like they're putting players on a wheel and spinning it. But I'm surprised to some degree that they didn't go for at least 2 Sunderland defenders, like Burnley at home. That, like, could you, there was no more clear clean sheet on the docket for Game Week 24 or Game Week, 24. So that was surprising, and they all returned. So Roof's got a 6-pointer, Mukiele 9 points, Dan Ballard 9 points. Let me see. I've got the point totals here. Senesi did well. He got... No, did he do well? No, Gabriel got 8 points. Senesi, I think, got 3. Chalaba 2. Senesi, I think, is going to be in contention for a defensive spot for a lot of people. By the stats, he's been great. Bournemouth a little unlucky. They seem to be getting back into form a little bit. This is the wrong segment to talk about that, but yeah, I just want to shout out Senesi. So I thought he was a good pick on paper, but alas, he didn't return as well as I thought he did. Ismail Assar got the goal, 7 points, and Mbumo, nothing. Enzo got a goal, Bruno got 2 assists, and Haaland got 1 assist, which I captained, so double there. So my free hit team got 74 points compared to this is the official. I'm increasing the screen size and it's doing absolutely nothing to the resolution. That's interesting. But compared to this is the team that the free hit or the scout team, official FPL scout team put out. They only got 68 points. Turns out, boys, 74 is greater than 68. And I was just getting a phone call. I'm very important, but that means I won this week, so I won't be paying out, but I do suck at this. So I'm probably going to lose next week. I have actually, a side note, I have closed entry to the mini league. So stay tuned if you are still enrolled in the mini league, that you can still be up for $10 because I am horrible at this free hit scout team thing, but my team did win this week. And really the only player that did anything for their team who I didn't have was João Pedro. Yeah, they went for Munoz, Chalaba, Broby, I guess. Yes, Rogers, the typical vibe pick. But yeah, so I'm floundering. My brain is mush, and that means we're probably getting towards the end of the episode. So let's do it. And here we are in the outro. I'm sorry if the podcast is a little bit shorter. I honestly, now that I've switched over to OBS, which films me and I upload it to YouTube as well as like the typical podcast channels. Now that I'm on the OBS, I have no idea how long each of these clips are. They just like go into a folder that I put up on iMovie and then it tells me. So I literally could not tell you how long I've been recording. Hopefully it wasn't too short, but if it is, I do apologize. Just to be completely transparent, the last couple of days of work for me, obviously this is not my full-time job. I have like 10 subscribers on YouTube. Subscribe if you're enjoying this really bad episode that I think I put out. But yeah, last couple of days of work, last couple of weeks of work, honestly, have just absolutely torn me to pieces. I was up until midnight last night working on a deadline. So I do apologize that if the quality has dropped, especially for this episode. My brain is like, I really don't know what's underneath this hat, honestly. So apologies. I'm a typical over apologizer. So I even apologize for apologizing because it's free content. What am I apologizing for? But hopefully I'll be in better shape. I need a rest of my brain, but this is not the rest. I love doing the podcast. So this is not that. Work hopefully will calm down over the next couple days, and hopefully I can get into some better podcasting form. But I will be back before the Gameweek 25 deadline. So hopefully my brain is rested by then, and we can dive into the stats a little bit more. I probably should have gone over to like understat and looked at underperformers from Gameweek 24. I will do that in the next podcast. I just forgot. Between the rant and the double game week chat, I kind of just honestly forgot. So we'll dive more into the stats. I'll bring up the spreadsheet, which is available on Airtable. That link is in both of the descriptions if you're on YouTube or podcast. But I will see you then. I'll pull the pin out and shut up because yeah, I'm rambling. My brain is mush, and I'll see you in the next podcast. Later.